We're talking with state candidate for treasurer here in Illinois, Republican Tom Cross. And thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. We're here in the crunch time of the race. You feeling good about things so far?
You know what? I've spent a lot of time traveling the state. I've been to Quincy quite a bit.
Sure.
And I was here just about a month ago. And so it's good. Folks are angry and they're frustrated and unhappy with the condition of the state, and they should be. And we've got some ideas about how we can address some of the problems. I always remind people it's a good state. We forget about that in campaign time. But great farmland, great manufacturing, great hospitals, universities, and we need to remind ourselves of that. It's just been some folks that have been running Springfield that have done a bad job, and we can fix it. It's just going to take some time.
And in talking about fixing it, how can you fix it from the treasurer's office if elected?
Yeah, there's several things. One of the things that I'm going to focus on, that I'm going to be very, very aggressive about, is that making sure that we follow the constitutional requirement to balance our budget. We haven't seen a balanced budget in a number of years. We have $5 to $6 billion of unpaid bills. And what does that do? It means our credit rating is the worst in the country. If you have to go borrow money as a state or as a city, it costs you more to borrow money because your credit rating is bad. We spent $300 million in late fees and penalties last year to hospitals and pharmacists and doctors. You have less people wanting to do state work. Our Constitution is very clear that we can't spend more money than we take in. And I'm going to insist that it's balanced. And it's going to be, I think it's the duty of the treasurer. So that ultimately means if the General Assembly persists in passing unbalanced budgets, if I have to take them to court, I'm going to do that. If we're going to turn this state around, we have to quit spending money we don't have. My opponent and I disagree on this. He does not think this is the approach to do, but as I say to him and others, give me a better solution. We've got to balance our budget. This year's budget was a classic example. They spent $400 million more than we had. I didn't vote for it. My opponent did. Pay raises for lawmakers? Seriously? I mean, lawmakers don't deserve pay raises. The job they've done has been miserable. So we're going to insist on a balanced budget, and that's going to be our number one priority. We need a fiscal watchdog for the residents of the state of Illinois and the taxpayers of the state of Illinois.
Do you feel you can be more effective in this role as when you were the minority leader? Because a bit of an uphill sled, when you're going against Madigan, and then of course on the other side you had the Democrats also with John Cullerton in control of the Senate. Do you think you can do more in this position?
I think I can, and it got frustrating because I sat there over just watching this the last 12 years, saying if they'd listened to us on improving the business climate, on fixing Medicaid, and balancing the budget, not spending money we have, but they didn't. And you need a strong voice from a statewide perspective to be that fiscal watchdog. And we're going to do that. The job here isn't to make people happy. The job is to make sure our budget is balanced and turn this state around so people could say when they're out of town, and going to another state, people say, "Where are you from?" They mumble. You don't want to tell anyone. And that's a shame because it's been a great state. And it is a good state. And I'm in the school of thought. I have the school of thought that we can actually turn this state around. It's going to happen overnight. It's a 3, 5, 10-year journey, but you got to start somewhere. And I want to use the treasurer's office to help do that.
How, I obviously, to do that in the treasurer's office, you'd also like some help from the governor's mansion, provided you can get a win, your party can get a win there too.
Look, I think if we're with a Republican governor and a Republican treasurer, you can tag team and you can be very aggressive in helping turn this state around. It's never good to be by yourself on it. It's always good to have partners. I actually think there's some Democrat lawmakers that even understand we got to fix this place and want to fix it. But clearly, with a Bruce Rauner and Tom Cross, we can turn this state around on issues like balancing the budget. And as I said, we're going to be very aggressive.
And how important is that to maybe another third leg of that tripod is the comptroller as well, though?
Well, Judy Topinka goes without saying does an incredible job, and people know her. They love her honesty. She doesn't beat around the bush, and that's the beauty. But she's also just a very competent comptroller, and that would, with three of us, it would even be better. And I didn't mean to neglect her at all. I think we all know she's done such a good job and believe she's going to win. And look, for all of us, I think we have to understand that you don't win by just saying the other guys have done a bad job. They have. But you have to have a vision for what you're going to do. And we've talked about balancing the budget. We're going to take on fraud and corruption. We're going to create an integrity unit within the office, not grow the office, and improve on transparency. We've got a report card we're going to release quarterly that lays out the true financial condition of the state. Because if you're going to fix it, you got to have an honest conversation. And we have a vision. And as I think about the contrast between our opponent, really hasn't laid out a vision. He's a tall guy, but real short on details of real details. So I like that contrast, and I like the fact that we have a plan, as does Bruce Rauner, as does Judy Spinka.
And I guess in the final crunch time here, you're here in West Central Illinois, making your rounds all across the state these last few days.
We started yesterday, and we're gonna finish up Monday night. And I've spent a lot of time downstate. I did as a leader, but I also have as a candidate, because I think sometimes the legislators, I look at my opponent who spends a lot of time in Chicago. Chicago's important, but downstate's just as important. And it's a whole state. It's not just a little piece. So we're Springfield today, Quincy today, yesterday Decatur, and Bloomington. We're going to be in Macomb tomorrow, and then in a lot of other towns, small towns, throughout the next 4 or 5 days. It's important to be around, because the other thing we don't do is that I've tried to do, a lot of people don't, we've tried to listen, and we've been listening over this campaign about what people are concerned about.